We have an idea of wisdom, don't we? A man who comes up, or a woman who comes up with good sayings.
Yeah, wise sayings.
Who knows stuff.
Yeah.
Who can sort of help you, give you guidance.
Yes.
All that may well be true, but now the measure of them is their actions. In ancient times, it might just be a wise person leaving their cave and walking among the villagers, radiating their light.
Yes.
Now it would be far more than that. It would be radiating their light in a very direct, active way, such as through healing, through prayer, through work, through effort, through teaching. That's a wise one now. It's not enough to just spout wise things. What are you doing? How are you manifesting it? What are your actions? Everything has changed with this language of direct action. Praying is direct action. Enlightening yourself is indirect action.
Hello and welcome back to the Spiritual Freedom Show with Richard Lawrence. My name is Darren Bull, and this is the podcast helping you to awaken your chakras, to unlock your psychic powers, and to discover true spirituality. In this episode, Richard and I explore the true measure of real wisdom. What wisdom really is, according to Mars Sector 6, an enlightened being from another planet. How a meeting on the legendary floating city of Shamballa in 1956 changed the course of history on Earth. Why the world needs us to do more than just meditate, and what to prioritize instead, and how to recognize a genuinely advanced guru when you are fortunate enough to find one.
Richard.
Darren.
So I'm excited to say we're back with part 3 in our 6-part series here on Yoga Upgraded. As I said before, exploring the massive implications of this change described by Mars Sector 6 in the 9 freedoms, transmigration to transmutation. I think everybody's going to memorize that by the end of this series,
I think so.
which is a good aspect of wisdom. But this episode, what we're going to be doing is challenging the common idea that wisdom is simply knowing a lot or sounding spiritually insightful, and revealing.
This is Gnani Yoga.
Gnani Yoga, revealing that it's something far, far more. And I think it'd be worth starting with just going into this definition of what is wisdom and what isn't, and then we can then relate that back to this big change.
Can I just throw this in? I think it's...
Can I say no?
I think it's fantastic that we have the opportunity in this day and age to perform all these major yogas on this path.
Yeah.
Yes, service comes first, but we need the bhakti, as we went into last time. We definitely need the Gnani.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely need the Raja. We need the Kriya. Depending how far we want to take it, but in one form or another to do this properly. We need them all.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the root of it is karma yoga. So it's a fantastic thing, and they're all embraced within King Yoga, as you said. But I think it's a wonderful thing, because I remember a time when, and I studied the books of, say, Yogi Ramacharaka, who actually was a favorite of Dr. King in his yoga days. And also, even more so in my case, Vivekananda. And he broke them down, and so did Sivananda actually, but he had a book on Gnani, a book on Karma, a book on Raja. And in those days, very much, it was a question of you choose the path which is best suited to you. Because as we've been stressing, it's all about your state of consciousness. Which of these paths is the one that suits you most to gain enlightenment, to go back to God, as it were? And because yoga means union with God, of course. Now it isn't about that. It's about how can we give the greatest service to the whole, but we need all of them.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter really which we're inclined towards. I mean, Dr. King himself wasn't inclined as a younger man before the Aetherius Society was founded towards Karma Yoga particularly. He was inclined towards this one, Gnani Yoga especially, and also Raja Yoga. He practiced Kundalini Yoga, but he loved Gnani Yoga, as you can imagine, because he was a great logician. But it's not about that. And then, of course, his whole destiny was to, among other things, was to redefine Karma Yoga. So I just wanted to say how wonderful it is that we now embrace them all in our path.
In a holistic way.
Yeah,
absolutely. So coming back to this wisdom and what it is. And what it isn't, I suppose. I mean, how would you describe the essence of it here?
I would describe it the way it's been described by, I think it's Mars Sector 6, as love in action. Because I've been privileged to know his definition, but also I would anyway, because now everything has to be made manifest. That's part of the transmutation.
Yes.
It's not any longer enough to keep it at the level of consciousness, you have to manifest it at every level. That's something we actually should stress. It's a transmutation of creation at every level. The physical level has to be transmuted. And this has happened on other planets. When there is an initiation of inhabitants of higher planets, those inhabitants are risen. Their manifestation is risen. They no longer manifest physically on the same frequency as they did before. And this is all part of the sensitization, the transmutation, the raising of energy, ultimately back to its unmanifested state. That's the journey, but with consciousness gained along the way. But so wisdom, though, now is, we have an idea of wisdom, don't we? A man who comes up, or a woman who comes up with good sayings,
wise sayings,
who knows stuff, who can sort of help you, give you guidance.
Yes.
All that may well be true, but now the measure of them is their actions. And I'll never forget this definition of the Lord Babaji by the master ethereist in a very late transmission, actually. And I was in LA at the time that he gave it through the master. It's known as the star pupil transmission. But in talking about the Lord Babaji, he describes him as the most active among the ascended masters. He's the greatest among them. He's their leader, spiritually and in every other way.
Yes.
But the definition, the master ethereist, the greatest compliment from the master ethereist was, he's the most active. So a wise person is active. It's about what you do, not just what you say. It's about your example. It's about your life. Your life is a demonstration. If we come back to the solar lords, they are expressing wisdom in action because they're constantly radiating love energy to all in this solar system and beyond.
Yes, yeah. I thought I'd share this this short extract from the second blessing, which is to the wise ones.
Yeah.
I think, goes to the heart of your point and helps us appreciate it a little bit more. When the Master Jesus says that these are the ones who've gone within, deep within, and made a glorious and lasting contact with the spark which dwelleth there. The self-same spark which came from the heart of the mighty Logos, from the heart of He and It, which fashioned even the Logos. And then he goes on to say, these ones have found peace and have turned away from it, to give its very essence, its very core, to searching, groping, unpeaceful man. Thrice blessed are the searchers who have found and left and given of their very heart to man.
There's going to be a lot of cross-referencing in this series we're doing now. And I would cross-reference there one we haven't done yet, which is Raja Yoga, which is the yoga which takes you to Samadhi eventually. But even below that, elevated states of realization.
Yeah.
And that definition is about people who have achieved a high level. Not necessarily, by the way, just through Raja Yoga.
Yeah.
Because they may have done it, and will have done it, I would say, primarily now through Karma Yoga. But there'll be that Raja Yoga element of meditation and so on to take them to have, while they're having that contact with the spark within, or a reflection of the spark within at least. But here comes the great demonstration that is missing in so many ancient teachings of leaving it.
Yes.
This is the great demonstration.
Yes.
And we spoke of this in the first show when we talked about even those who have returned to the Godhead, as you might put it, to divinity, are born again through the crescent of wisdom, or it's something like that, as a crescent of wisdom. Then that's then God manifesting itself as wisdom. So it's manifesting again, even though it no longer needs to manifest.
Yes.
They're coming out of even that level of perfection in order to serve.
Yes.
In order to radiate love. And that is wisdom. That's the crescent of wisdom. That's the definition and manifestation of wisdom at the highest possible level.
Yeah, I love this parallel here between what's happening at the macrocosmic whole and the microcosm that we can possibly relate to in a more individual level of these individuals who have done this, who have gone within and come out.
And they can do it, because once you've done it, you can do it again, providing you don't leave the path. Then you can't necessarily do it again for a while, maybe for a life or more. But who knows? But if you stay on that path, So the good news here, if you leave it, it's still there. And you come out to serve because you will want to, because you now know all is one. And you know it's a nonsense just to dwell on your own development and your own bliss even. You haven't become attached to the bliss, as some yogis have done, some mystics have done, because it's very enticing. It's very exciting. I would say it could almost become addictive if you let it. But they've left that because what they know now is they so it's a tiny reflection of the great ones, isn't it?
Yes.
They've come out, the wise ones, they want to serve, they radiate their light, they let it shine forth in one way or another. In ancient times, it might just be a wise person leaving their cave and walking among the villagers and staying overnight in a different village every night and all the way radiating their light.
Yes.
Now it would be far more than that. It would be radiating their light in a very direct, active way, such as through healing, through prayer, through work, through effort, through teaching and sometimes being criticized, sometimes being disbelieved when you speak the truth, sometimes being mocked when you speak the truth, and staying firm to their cause. That's a wise one now.
And as you mentioned in the first episode in this series, we also have access to energy sources that we didn't have before.
Absolutely, yeah. And, I think I would say this, though, because I've seen people do this, don't fall into the trap of thinking, I'm giving up, my enlightenment to serve, when you haven't made the effort to gain the enlightenment. That's a little trap, because you aren't actually giving it up. If you're serving,
You're working towards
your enlightenment in the best possible manner.
Yeah.
The best possible manner. But there comes a time, and there will come opportunities for you to do spiritual practices, for you to study spiritual teaching, for you to go within. The wise ones have gone within. And when that comes, you must take it. And I've seen people not take it, think, well, I don't need to. I'm sacrificing that. I'm giving that up in order to serve. No, you're giving up the constant dwelling on that in order to serve. Yes, but then when the chance comes, you do need to take it. Then you can say you've sacrificed it.
I see. Yeah.
And left it in order to serve. And then you'll have the light within to spread in service.
It's, I don't know if this is how you would put it, but it seems like this wisdom is the manifest realization of God from within you. In this greater whole you described when we went through the globes and what that really means. They're coming out again, and that coming out is they're coming out with the wisdom that can then be radiated to all. In order to continue to transmute the whole of creation from its current state.
Everybody knows this really in a concrete way, because, for example, let's go below the samadhic level and let's talk about a person who becomes highly intuitive. And I know a lot of people, I'm sure including yourself actually, who are intuitive, who feel things, who sense things, because they're devoting themselves in service, they're devoting themselves in practices. Sometimes, by the way, there's absolutely no conflict between the two whatsoever. Sometimes you're in a spiritual activity and you are needing to elevate yourself in that activity in order to serve. For example, in the mission Operation Prayer Power. The one and the same, exactly at the same moment. There's no sacrifice being made at all. Everybody knows that when you gain greater abilities, let's take healing, and you bother to develop yourself, then your healing will be better. So your service will be better. If you improve your concentration through studying wisdom, and that's part of Gnani Yoga and a very big part of it. Assimilating, and people watching this show hopefully are doing exactly that right now. It's going to change your consciousness, but it won't just change your consciousness, by the way. It'll change the consciousness in the ethers around. And you are serving by doing that. By studying, you are serving. Because you will affect the whole mind belt. Because particularly if the thoughts you are studying are rare, are not often considered. They're not some dancing competition that everybody watches. They're not some daily newspaper. They're not the latest football match. Those things are firmly embedded in the mind belt. But they are wisdom like this it's going to be more easy for other people then to pick up that wisdom. If you develop intuition, such as yourself, such as others, your service improves because you can make better judgments. You can pick better timing.
Yes.
You will know more what's needed. And likewise, if you develop certain types of psychic ability, which healing is a great example, you'll be able to use those in your service, and mental ability and skills. So this is again the beauty of what we're doing here, which is all these yogas are usable as long as service comes first. And Gnani Yoga is crucial, absolutely crucial. Anyone who doesn't study wisdom, and anyone who doesn't try to go within as much as they can, in order to actually leave it, the wiser, and spread it, they aren't really using their full potential, and they aren't serving to the greatest of their ability.
Yeah, I love how this is what's helpful here as well, is that you really see action, or inspired action, as a yardstick for wisdom. It's unless this action, unless this wisdom is manifest in your life in some way, and your life is the example of this realization within you, it's like you don't really have it.
No, an action is a demonstration of wisdom.
Exactly.
You take, say, Buddha, just as one example. I mean, he taught people to go within, to find great peace within, to become more enlightened, to meditate, to become detached from various things, and to overcome various pain-causing aspects of life, and to take them well on a very, very effective path towards their enlightenment. But he himself left it. He found it at a pretty young age, I believe in his 30s, I think, but I have to check that. But he left it and devoted himself to teaching, even, as I understand it, into his 80s. So he's a perfect example, and he's not the only one, but he's a very great
of this. Well, I guess it brings up a broader point about how we can use this new lens to kind of like evaluate the different spiritual teachers and the different mediums that are out there in order to help navigate our journey through.
Absolutely. Because there's so many claims, and you've only got to look at the person and see, why would I believe that this person is advanced enough to channel a great cosmic intelligence? What's their training and what's their life? Now, we're lucky, very lucky in the Etheric Society, because Dr. George King has an impeccable example that he left. And he did just this because he devoted himself for 10 years along the old path, actually, the old age path, especially Raja and Gnani, but others too, Mantra and so on. And he gained samadhi, and then he left it. And then he even used his samadhi to serve. He didn't use it to bathe in his own bliss or anything. He used it to serve others, and he used it, I would say, other than that, he very sparingly. If it was necessary, his whole life was wrapped up in world service and service to Mother Earth and following the cosmic plan. And that's what he did. So he's actually a classic example of someone who went within, found peace, found enlightenment, and left it. That was a 10-year period. And the next 43 years was dedicated service, on call, 24 hours a day for the great ones, in service to others. I think even people who don't believe everything he says would have to admit he absolutely practiced what he preached. That's really what we're saying, isn't it? It's not enough to just spout wise things. What are you doing? How are you manifesting it? What are your actions?
And I think there are some probably very famous spiritual teachers today who don't even meet this basic criteria.
No.
And the reason this is important is not to criticize other people. It's to highlight how important it is for us to use our judgment, our discrimination, our mentality to be able to identify truth correctly, and people who are sharing genuine wisdom, so that we can follow a path that will lead us to a greater realization of
so
God.
important. It's amazing to me, actually. some of the people are out there claiming various things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying all of them either, but it's a shame how many there are, and some of them may well believe what they're saying, but you've only got to look at them, to be honest, and you know that they can't be capable of what they're saying they're doing, even if they think they are. It's clear to see, and it's clear from their life. I think if you can find a person who has committed themselves to a path, stuck to it for a long period of time, hopefully virtually all their adult life, that's extremely rare. And I mean stuck to it every day and given up anything that could come in the way of it. That's a very unusual thing indeed.
Yeah, and then to find someone who's done that and have it be the highest expression of wisdom that we find is even rarer still. But, as a seeker on the spiritual path, that's really what we're looking for. That's what you need to look for.
Yeah,
that's what
I quite agree.
There's another aspect of this that I wanted to bring in. There was, at some point, you've mentioned it before. I thought you might be able to explain a little bit more. There was a meeting on Shamballa, in which was brought about into being this language of direct action. And I wondered how that might relate back to what we're talking about.
And I think it was
today.
in 1956.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really interesting meeting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're told, and it's the only meeting I know of, I mean, I'm not saying there aren't others, but the only one we know of, that this meeting was actually attended by 2 lords of the sun. And one of the transmissions said from Ra, which is the sun. Now, in what form they came, I don't know. Because if they came in anything approaching their full form, the whole Earth would be in trouble and would burn up, as we found out later during the initiation of Earth, actually, when the solar lord involved in that initiation had to be kept at a considerable distance, and there was a danger of planetary destabilization and so forth. So these 2 lords came to Shamballa along with other great masters. I know Jesus was there, Master Jesus, Lord Buddha, and some of the members of the Great White Brotherhood. I think the Masters M and KH.
Yeah.
And the Master Aetherius must have been there because he comments on it and he participated in it. But this Master of Understatement doesn't mention himself.
Yeah.
I even wonder, and this is just me, so don't go by this anybody, if he himself isn't an aspect of a Lord of the Sun. I know he's Venusian, but it wouldn't surprise me personally at all. But that's neither here nor there. So this great meeting was held. Many decisions were made. One was actually about mediumship and discriminating on mediumship. But I think the one you're referring to, the decision that was made, was to introduce the language of direct action. And that's a wonderful phrase. One could meditate on that phrase, direct action, because there had been action before.
Yes.
As I mentioned, the guru who walked to a village, not because he wanted to, and stayed there for maybe a week, maybe a night, and knew that the villagers would be blessed by his presence, usually him, might be her, but in those days it was often a male. Unfortunately, it was always seemed to be males. That's only because females weren't allowed to, which was ridiculous in a lot of places. Anyway, they would do that, but that's an indirect help. Every time someone gains enlightenment, it affects the whole.
Yeah.
And that's good too.
Yeah.
But now more is required. Hands-on, active work, active effort. And here's an interesting thing. When you're engaged in active effort, you've left a higher state in order to work. It can be very detuning. You can come across ill health when you're helping people who are sick. You can come across disbelief, which you don't want to. And it's one of the old yogic precepts, which is don't argue about truth. And I can understand it. It's a luxury, but having been in many, many radio and TV studios, you don't have much choice other than or don't go at all sometimes. So it's a very different era. And the higher powers know that, by the way. The ascended masters know that, I'm sure. And so everything has changed with this language of direct action and going out and engaging in numerous ways and engaging over a distance too. Praying is direct action. Enlightening yourself is indirect action.
I see.
It is action. It will benefit all. It will alter the karma of all. but it's not as direct unless you come out of it and use it to serve. And you can use it to serve, because you will appreciate far, far more why you should serve, and you will want to serve far more, and you'll be capable of radiating greater light, greater love, and greater wisdom.
That's a really helpful distinction for me, because I think that really gets to the heart of what the difference is between the way that the yoga was classically conceived before this new wisdom of Master 66 and afterwards. And it is very much this difference between the indirect and the direct, especially when it comes to, when we talk about action in this case. Because, a lot of people talk about, the positive difference you can make in raising your own consciousness and that influence that you're having on the world around you and the people around you. But now we have this so much more powerful concept of direct action, and I think it empowers people a lot more to be proactive in the work they're doing directly to help others around
Absolutely.
the world.
And my goodness, some of the old Gnani yogas went to tremendous lengths to detach themselves from the world, even regarding the world as maya and delusion, which it isn't actually. It's a reflection. That's the brilliant change brought by Master 66 in his meditation for this age. It isn't all illusory. It's just a lower reality, you could say. It's just a reflection of a higher reality, which is the etheric level, which itself is a reflection of an even higher reality, which is God.
As you've said, I mean, one very fascinating change about having received this revelation is that previously there would have been no reason to engage in what they would have regarded as Maya, and there was some sort of rationale for the detachment.
Yes, because you're trying to transmigrate. Yes, back to that. You're trying to get away from it all. You could say that materialism is Maya. That is, can be delusory, because it's a belief that's a wrong belief. That material life is all there is. That's a delusion. It isn't all there is. But material things have to be dealt with, have to be transmuted. And wisdom is love in action, and action is transmutation.
Yes, I love that. That's a really nice distillation there. And maybe one final question here for the show is maybe just relating this discussion of wisdom back to the symbol of the triangle, which we touched on in a previous episode, and the significance of that symbol.
Yeah, well, the symbol, of course, represents the journey of God back to higher consciousness and its creation, preservation, transmutation. But I was reminded after the last show of a statement that Dr. King made, which is a brilliant statement and summarized a point we were making in the first show about, God as naught. If you had a complete vacuum, that's where God would be. And if you have complete infinity, that's where God is, because it is infinity. And, manifestation is probably everything in between. And you have that difference between God as naught and God as infinity. There lies the difference that is achieved through the triangle of wisdom. But the thing I was reminded of was this statement by Dr. King. This would be a very good one to end on, because it's a very wise statement, actually. He said, this is his quote, this is his aphorism. "I am naught," said a man. "Naught but me," answered God.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
Hey, Spiritual Freedom Show family, thanks for tuning into the show. I loved the way Richard put it there, that love is action and that action is transmutation. I think that's a beautiful distillation of this whole series that we're working through now on Yoga Upgraded. The real yardstick for wisdom, therefore, is not just what you say, it's what you do, and whether your life is genuinely a living example of the teaching that you preach. Because if that teaching is not manifest in your life, then you do not really have that aspect of wisdom. The deeper you go into truth, the more you realize that love and selfless service to others is a manifestation of the most profound spiritual truths that we have ever been given on earth. And no matter what state of consciousness we have attained ourselves, we can all manifest that crescent of wisdom to one degree or another in the love and the service that we give to others, which is ultimately what life is really about. Now, if you enjoyed that episode about revisiting the path of Gnani Yoga, then do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future episodes that can help you to awaken your chakras, to unlock your psychic powers, and to discover true spirituality. If you're interested in more right now, I can recommend that you check out the second episode in this series on Yoga Upgraded, revisiting the path of Bhakti Yoga in the light of this cosmic wisdom from Mars Sector 6. Thanks for tuning into the show, and see you next time.